Hi, I'm Scott Morse, one of the directors of the Radiator Springs 500 and a half.
And I'm Torben Bullock, the editor. Is this the first Tales of Radiator Springs?
This is the first and possibly only Tales of Radiator Springs.
The whole idea was
to celebrate the town, celebrate everybody in Radiator Springs, celebrate all the characters we know and love, and kind of spotlight them a little bit more. We see McQueen dressed as Stanley. It's like dressing up as Uncle Sam on the 4th of July. We knew because it was Stanley Days and we wanted to do this fun celebration of the town, it would be fun to see our characters dress up as if it was an event, like an old-timey get-together. So we had a real blast with the art department, Tony Christoph and his crew, coming up with these costumes that a car could wear.
What the heck is that?
It took us a while, as I remember, to really find our way in.
The thing we finally latched onto was this idea of a showdown in the vein of a spaghetti western.
And as soon as we got this sort of spaghetti western idea, it kind of fell into place.
With this tale from Radiator Springs, we wanted to dive into an actual authentic race that maybe we haven't seen in the cars world. And with this one, we dove into an off-road race, the Baja 1000. It's like an all-night race, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like a 38-hour race.
And kind of treating the Baja racers like they were outlaws. It seemed like a really Western thing to do, to have your outlaws come in and insult the mayor of the town kind of thing.
You didn't found much.
He should have kept looking.
And it was a great way to celebrate the town itself and Carburetor County, and to kind of underline the aesthetic of the area, see something new. And with the backdrop of a desert, playing it as a Western really seemed like, wow, we can take that and push the lighting and bring a storm in and kind of see Radiator Springs in a different light. So one of the cool things with this trip through Carburetor County is this idea that Mater sets up the course that these Baja racers are going to race on.
All right, here's what you want to do. It's simple. Head right out of town.
That is an appropriate role for Mater. Mater is the soul of that town. So the fact that he would know the entire history, he's a native son. And so he shows all the places he discovered and played in when he was a kid kind of thing.
Exactly. But we wanted to cap this idea of danger. How far off course can a trip go?
So we turned right. Enough already. Let's go!
With the Mater end of it, we really were chasing the old Jungle Cruise tour guide aspect of it.
I'll be your Stanley. Follow me.
So we really laid heavy into the puns with Mater. And I think that offered a nice juxtaposition against the angle of what McQueen was having to do, defending the dignity of the town on one end, and looking at the backdrop of this desert as sort of an adventurous Western, but then also showing this kind of postcard picturesque version through the eyes of the characters we know with Mater.
Right.
Right.
A big part of the Baja 1000 is it is completely uncharted territory. You go from streets through communities and then just out into the desert, and everybody is going just like a bat out of hell.
What'd that tow truck say about this part?
Rolling hills.
With some of these really dynamic off-road shots as well, we got to play with this idea of placing a GoPro on a car. The layout artists up at Pixar Canada had a lot of fun just kind of placing the camera in ways that, we don't get to when we're not being so broad with our filmmaking on the features.
What was it like going over these hills back in 1909?
It's a little bit of a weird decision to go cutting back and forth between these two universes, the Safari Cruise tour and this off-road thing. I think that every time we did it as just a straight off-road race, you could only sit with it for so long, and then it got kind of dull.
Yeah, I think we pretty quickly realized by Mater leading this tour for everybody else, gave us this sort of levity that we could jump to every now and then, this comic relief, so that we weren't just watching racing all of the time. Some people here at Pixar say that kind of can turn into wallpaper. It's just a pattern that turns into more of the same and more of the same. So this gives us a good chance to jump against something that we're not expecting. We can kind of punctuate moments right when we want to. And I think aesthetically we looked at it that way too. It's treating it like a spaghetti western with the Dutch angles and the high contrast lighting and the really pushed foreground, middle ground, background elements, but then also showing this postcard picturesque version through the eyes of the characters we know with Mater.
Right.
Okay, now we are. And that right there, folks.
Because we were chasing the experience of the Baja 1000, we wanted at least some nighttime scene. And we knew we wanted this idea of them being lost in the forest. And so how do you make that?
And we wanted to escalate this idea of danger. The Baja 1000 can be a very dangerous race, not only because of the racing, but because of the elements and because of the time of day changes. In designing these dead cars was a real trick. We've never been faced with seeing a carcass in this world, pun intended. So we decided, how do we go about this in a fun, tasteful way and really kind of play up the monster movie aspect of it. So we had a lot of fun designing the graveyard scenes and lighting the graveyard scenes and, using some of the fun elements from cars like the little fireflies to kind of help heighten that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. How'd you like Stanley's leisurely drive?
Leisurely.
For me, some of the best memories of making this short were working with all of these new friends that I got to make, lighters and animators and layout artists up in Canada. They just wanted to make something good.
That's sort of the reason why we all work here.
We're pretty lucky.
What better way to spend your time than to make your friends laugh?
Helping people find a giggle. And hopefully you had as much fun watching it as we did making it.